Not one speech. Now, we've been talking about this. I'm kind of upset about the general speech. I'm kind of upset about the time commander speech. I haven't got any fucking goosebumps yet. Have y'all been motivated about this? Oh! I know y'all figured out another secret that the Marine Corps has. We don't tell you shit, and we play games. Man, I knew we were leaving tonight fucking 7 months ago.
Any of the stuff with Marjah, much less that speech is like constantly on repeat in recruiters' offices. And so like whenever I share it or something, I'm really honestly just trying to like give some flowers and love and respect to the Marines of 1-6.
What about heavy equipment operators?
Yeah. This episode is sponsored by Remedical. Hey, veterans. Ever feel like navigating the VA disability claims process is like trying to march in quicksand? I don't know how much you know about quicksand. It's not great to march through. Well, here's some good news. Remedical, that's Romeo Echo Echo Medical, is here to support you as you march right out of that mess. And you can keep moving forward. Whether it's a first-time claim or an increase in your existing status, Remedical connects you with independent providers who can document your symptoms with the precision of a sniper. Only Carlos Hathcock is a better sniper than them. They provide the accurate and thorough medical evidence you need to support your VA claim. With a network of experienced physicians, Remedical has helped over 75,000 veterans. Can you believe that, Blas? 75,000 veterans.
That's a big number.
That's a big number, but we're going to blow right past it. They'll explain all your options before you even think about paying anything. No more mystery, just clarity and competence. At the After Action podcast, we're not just fans of Remedical, we're customers too. Blas, what's it like working with Remedical?
Listen, Zach, I'm not going to lie. When you presented the option of going to Remedical, I was super skeptical, man. I was already done with the VA process. They threw me through the ringer, had me waiting for who knows how long. Anywhere from 6 to 12 months is what I experienced. I know there are veterans out there who have probably experienced a lot longer. When you had mentioned Remedical, like I said, I was skeptical. I gave them a call though, like you said, free consultation. I had nothing left to lose. I picked up the phone, gave them a call, told them exactly what I was going through and the troubles that I was experiencing. They said, no problem. Just send us over your medical records. We'll take a look at them. And if we can help you, we'll reach back out. Not even 24 hours later, I got a phone call telling me that my ratings were not sufficient to what the standard actually was, and that if I wanted to move forward, they'd be glad to help me. Almost 12 months later, I finally got my rating back from the VA, where I couldn't be more happy with the results. If you're out there and you're struggling and you're sick of running through the VA process, and you're tired of getting to run around, go to Remedical. I promise you they'll help you, and they'll guide you through the process with no pressure and get you the rating you deserve.
I couldn't think of a better personal endorsement than that right there. I got to watch him go through the process myself, and it has been a life-changing outcome for him and his family. Don't settle for frustration or unfavorable decisions. Check out the link in the description for a free consultation and $200 off Remedical services. It's time to get what you deserve. Hey guys, Veteran with a Sign here, and I've got something game-changing to share with you. If you're a protector, a parent, or just someone who wants to be ready for whatever life throws at you, this is for you. The USCCA just dropped an unbelievable deal on self-defense training that you can't afford to miss. Here's the scoop. They've launched a new site where you can go sign up for over 1,600 in-person self-defense courses nationwide. And the kicker? They're 100% free through the end of the year. That's right, no strings attached. This is your chance to learn real-world self-defense skills from experienced instructors in your own community. Whether it's building a home protection plan, mastering situational awareness, or diving deep into the laws of self-defense, these expert-led classes are designed to give you the confidence and tools to protect yourself and your loved ones. Don't wait. Go to uscca.com/veteranwithasign right now. Find a course near you and sign up today. Opportunities like this don't come around often, and spots will fill up fast. Take action now, invest in your safety, and level up your skills. That's uscca.com/veteranwithasign to get started today. Welcome to another special edition. I say that every time because they're all special to me and Blas and everyone here of the After Action podcast. I'm joined today by someone who I've spent as much time with as I have my wife. Only very recently has my wife gained more time just by accumulation of time. My former squad leader, Ryan Madden. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a long time coming. No one would have ever thought when we first met we'd be here, me especially.
No, it's definitely not.
But we've gone from hanging out and getting hazed to hanging out and just having fun. And
It's true.
And here we are.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
It's great. It's great being here. It's great to see you. I haven't seen you in
5 years. 5
This
years.
was the last reunion.
Since the last Marjah reunion, and we're going to talk about Marjah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we
About
will.
that time of year.
It's that time of year. It's
That
the
time of
most
year.
wonderful time of the year.
Yeah, it's so crazy, like how, how much even people from outside of the Marine Corps know about, Marjah. And then when you said that your squad leader was coming in, I was like, does he want to rip a pod? Like,
Yeah.
we have to.
He definitely didn't have to, but I said,
I was just coming to crash on your couch like Kato Kalin. Yeah.
hopefully not all of it. I was like, listen, you could say room and board's free. However, I've got to monetize our relationship.
Like every other one, huh?
Yeah. Hey, we don't do it unless we can get a little cheer bucks, little cheer coupons, as I call them. But no, I want to talk, so we've had Ace on. Ace, I've known him just as long as I've known you.
It's a great episode.
Great episode.
Great episode.
And it was one of the first ones too, because he was like just on the journey he is now. He had just started looking into the psychedelic stuff. He had just done it. But I don't. Yeah, you're probably the person I've spent more time with than anyone else outside of my wife.
Yep, definitely.
Like every single day. But
Like last night when I was talking about that, we were in his house sleeping in separate rooms. I don't think you and I have ever slept more than about 6 inches from each other during a 4-year time period.
it was weird.
Yeah.
I thought about like coming to the door like we had broken up. Like there were storms and the power almost went out. And I was like, well, the power goes out. This is the most on-brand experience ever. We're just in a
Yeah.
building.
We had 2 like green cots.
Yeah.
That would have made, or like a isomats.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
None but dude.
Green sleeping bags. Yeah.
A side note, when we got cots on our first tour, they brought out cots. We were living outside. We didn't have any bases or anything. I remember you looking at me being like, well, we don't really need anything else. And I was like, he's right. A cot, we had lean-tos. That was it. Like,
Oh, yeah, we definitely talked that Garms or
Yeah.
3-day op or whatever we thought it was going to be. And we went with the salt packs. We had like water, ammunition. And that's that. People are walking around like Bedouins. So they had like blankets and like guys were walking around with rugs.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was a good time. But before all that started, you were a young man growing up in the Northwest, correct?
Yes.
Where you come from? Where do you hail from?
I was born in Portland, Oregon. I grew up kind of on the west side out in Aloha. It's like in the Portland metro area.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you were like there for the heyday of like good Portland. Cool. Like,
It's
not
a lot
like,
different than the Portland of today. Yes.
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 But it was like a real creator, hippie town.
Yeah, I
Everyone
think
kinda-
that was, yes. That's
What was it like
accurate.
growing up there? I don't know anybody else besides you.
I mean, I was like suburban. So it was like typical suburban vibe on the West Coast.
yeah.
Yeah, it was a nice area. It's like, the 90s.
Was it cool if there was
It was
like
good, yeah.
grungy?
I mean, the suburbs
Or
really
that's-
aren't that grungy.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
mean,
like,
like,
it's not like the epicenter.
yeah.
It's like downtown Portland. But
In my mind, I think like Kurt Cobain is what I'm thinking.
maybe like downtown, but like when I was a kid, I didn't have that much downtown exposure. I was
Yeah.
like everybody else, like
Just being normal.
Super Nintendo.
So today's like a
Whatever,
normal day for you.
What's that?
With the crappy weather that we're having.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so this is-
Yeah, people despise weather. They absolutely hate the weather up there, especially when they move there.
Is it really just raining that much?
Yeah, it rains, I don't even know, 7 months out of the year. I wanna say.
That does sound gnarly.
Right. Yeah, I guess for most people it is. Like
Yeah.
when I moved, I was back whenever I'm back, it's like, this is just like growing up, so it's, no.
Yeah, you feel the same way I do about a bologna sandwich. This feels like home.
Yep, that's right.
No, so you enlisted when? When did you enlist?
I joined in July 2001.
That's something
right
that-
after high school.
You'd always wanted to do, or
Yeah, I had the idea from my grandfather. He was in the Coast Guard during World War II.
that's sick.
And my grandparents were from Seattle and they moved to Portland after the war. And he thought, he joined it. He was like 21. when he joined. So, and that's 41. It was like 42, I guess. So his thought process was he was going to join the Coast Guard because he's from Seattle, and the Coast Guard is on the coast.
Yeah.
So he's in the South Pacific. He was like on a combat cargo ship. So they hauled basically like support, like like a CLB, like logistics type stuff, like motor transport guys, like Marines.
Yeah.
And then he was at like the Battle of Okinawa when they landed, the Marines there. And he always had like the highest opinion of the Marines. And then he was in China after the war for quite a while. So I was like, I should join the Marines.
Was there ever any other branch you considered?
No. Like, I remember my recruiter, this guy named Reed Reynolds, who obviously I credit my recruiter with a lot, because they but for better or worse, they shepherd you into whatever path. And when you're a kid, when you join the Marines, I don't know if they still do it or not, but they have like what do you want? Financial security? Do you want education? Yeah, the tab.
Yeah.
I'm sure Matt Hall's watching out there somewhere, and he'll explain. I don't know how many others. Jeff Shue. We know many are recruiters.
Shue
Bill
did,
B.
Shue.
Many a recruiter.
Many a recruiter.
Many
Shout
recruiter.
outs.
Shout out to all the recruiters out there. Thankless job.
It is a thankless job.
But the ones like travel and adventure. And I was like, travel and adventure. I bet the Marine Corps is going to provide travel and adventure. And boy, did they provide all this. They turned that knob up to 11 on travel and adventure. Yeah. They delivered.
And you're like infantry.
Absolutely. Yeah. Why would you do anything else?
Hey, there's nothing but infantry here.
Job skills?
Yeah. To translate?
No.
Yeah. Not at all.
I want to do that. I want to walk in a circle.
Yeah. You can do that other stuff anywhere. You can only do Marine infantry in the Marines. So
hell yeah.
I feel like your guys' recruiters were spot on. Everybody that you've had on that's been a Marine has had a positive experience with a recruiter.
I mean,
it's a branding thing.
It's definitely branding.
And the commercials.
Mm-hmm.
The commercials, but like Marines are I found to be very specific, like mainly because it's, in my opinion, it's so small.
Mm-hmm.
And the Army's so big. There's no real attachment I have found to like soldiers in the Army, but like Marines and Marines. You know what I'm saying?
No, I got you.
But like in the Army, there's a ton of esprit de corps. I don't know what you call it in the Army, esprit de Army, with like 101st, like to your units.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But like no one else.
And the Marine Corps.
But not to
the Marine Corps is Marine Corps.
Correct.
We don't have patches. There's no differentiation.
It's very much like a college football back in the day. No names on the back of jerseys.
Yeah.
We're all one.
But inside, it's like, don't talk to me, you pogue. You're like, I'm with 1-6. It's very like that inside, but, Marines and Marines. But so you go join the Marines, West Coast.
Mm-hmm. Yep. San Diego.
And you get sent out to 2-5.
Yes.
Legendary unit. 5th and 6th Marines. Hell yeah. Bella Woodsman.
That's right.
Hell yeah.
French Forget. Three Corps de Guerres. Some boot camp knowledge right there, I think.
It is.
Yeah.
We get the rope. Whenever I see a young, so we get
the French Fortiget.
Yeah. Whenever I see a young devil dog with it, I'm like, nice. But you went in. This is early. So pre-Iraq War.
Yeah. I actually went to boot camp a couple months before 9/11. Right. So 9/11 happened while I was there.
In boot camp.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like? Were they like, hey, turn it on, or?
No, I think no. We just kind of. It was like a brief pause, but it was like training schedule.
Now it's time to ramp this up.
Yeah, recruit training is still. Every minute is accounted for.
That's the truth.
Yep.
That system was running smooth back then. What's it like for anyone who doesn't know? I mean, SOI is SOI. It's whatever. But I want to hear what it was like going to the barracks as a boot in 2001.
It's a good question.
Like, I describe it as like getting dropped off into hell, getting catcalled in 1-6. They were throwing stuff at us, blah, blah, blah. But I want to know if that rang true in 2001.
Yeah, it was, I think, I was talking to one of my friends, Nick Roberts, who's my first roommate, like in the fleet, in the barracks, when we got to San Mateo. I believe we had, I don't even remember how we graduated ITB, because there you just like go over the hill on some buses from like school infantry at San Onofre, like right to San Mateo. I don't even know if we were wearing alphas, like the service uniform. But I remember they were waiting, all of our senior guys were waiting for us, and they came back from Okinawa.
Yeah.
That was the thing back then. 5th Marines at that time period was doing like UDPs to Okinawa. And, dragging sea bags up to the room, living in terror, to like, that was that time frame. I had a really good team leader back then.
Yeah.
It was Ryan Nieto. A really good team, but it was just that was the call. Like, you might, but 1 o'clock in the morning, you may be, and like there's at Pendleton, in contrast, Camp Lejeune, like San Mateo, it's out, like we had an area called the backyard in this ridge line. So you could go out there and patrol, or you could go out there and run, like at 1 o'clock in the morning. Like one time there's a thing called like a goat trail. It's like, it's a really steep hill with ropes. I'm pretty sure we were climbing it at like in the middle of the night for something, like it was very harsh.
Yeah.
But that's the way things were done back then.
I kind of loved all that stuff a little bit.
There was, even back then, it was more like harder, not smarter.
Yeah.
In a lot of aspects, which that definitely, I think, changed like as the war went on.
Yeah.
Where it was kind of like people were like, this is not constructive to survival.
Is Marine camp boot camp broken up into 3 phases? Because in the Army, ours is broken. Yeah, it is. Okay, so it's run.
So it's 3 phases, and then you go to your job school, and in the Marine Corps they do combat training for 21 days
for non-infantry.
Right.
Marine combat training.
Gotcha.
And then
but all Marines go through that.
Yeah, they go through that if they're not infantry. If you're infantry, you go through infantry training battalion.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Now that's like they have like the infantry Marine course, which is a lot more sophisticated.
Damn it.
I don't think that's fully integrated yet. Kyle Fish is out there somewhere. He would know. Kyle's out there.
He is.
Yeah, he's very familiar with that whole program. That's like they have sergeants. They're like leading the squads. It's like it's a lot of
Don't make me
aspects.
cry,
of like,
Ryan.
Yeah, like infantry squad leaders course. I think POI kind of got put into that where it's like, and you have like boots leading patrols. I think it's very labor intensive though for like the instructors, like very labor because they're in it. It's not just teaching class and going through the motions. That our entry level training, even when you went through, was not that.
It was
sophisticated.
Not that. It was not. It was mainly just like you pick your MOS.
How to use weapons was the biggest thing. Like really rudimentary patrol formations. How to do an attack, but it takes a lot more out in the fleet.
The main thing that we were doing in SOI was just like hiking, and it was just like a pressure test. There was no real like
on flat ground.
Yeah, on flat ground.
Like Gagger,
yeah. But it's so defeating because the base is so small. Like you have no real like.
Right.
How far did we go? Oh man. And then like at that time, a 5 kilometer, 10, 15, 20, it feels like hell. And the real secret is just keep walking.
Right.
But it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. So you're there. It's 2001. How quickly did you find out that you were deploying to Iraq? Like what was
like
that?
we got there. I got there in like early 2002, mid 2002, and we didn't know we were going to Iraq. I don't even know when because I think we deployed in like January.
Okay.
Or early February. I want to say late January.
Yeah.
Somebody out there probably remembers this much more vividly than I do, but it was before Christmas time, 2002, where it's like we were going to go to Kuwait. And we had all of our, I guess at that point, the workup though, like we were preparing for that. There's a lot of like Siberni, like NBC, as we called it back then. Like I had a lot of MOP 4, gas mask, everything. MOP 4 attacks. We were MOP 4 at Mount Town. And a lot of people out there don't know this. And I'm gonna let people know that in 2001, Mount tactics included throwing grappling hooks through windows.
What?
And climbing up the side of buildings.
We used to be a country.
And it was and I remember specifically trying to climb a rope, like wearing MOP boots. We're like trying to climb up. Because this like an Eastern European design city. It was like Cold War thought process. And yes, we were throwing grappling hooks through windows.
Damn.
Because then there was a point in time where it's like, I remember this was, 90s Mount or where it's like, well, this would be best if we could start at the top floor and then flush them out into our like cordon. So we'll use grappling hooks or like, then we had like collapsible ladders that would break because they're not designed to support a guy with a saw.
With a saw, like, 300-pound guy.
300-pound guy.
Yeah, with another 300-pound guy beneath him,
Right. Because I remember Ryan Nieto, he was like a mount instructor. We had like a mount instructor course back then, like division schools. That That was part of the shtick.
All I can think is how heavy all of this was.
So you were practicing with grappling hooks. Did you guys go over like human ladder techniques?
Yeah, we
To, like,
did
get-
that.
yeah.
That was like going over walls
Yep.
and that type of thing. And I remember
I thought that was the coolest thing,
like
man. just
early
learning stuff
OA.
like that.
That was like, I'm trying to think of our thought process back then. Because I remember you could like take a knee and then somebody would come up and
Yep.
like step up on your thigh to go through a window on like a bottom floor, which none of that ever transpired in Iraq because obviously the windows are way different. It's just, it just seemed like a good idea at the time. This is also like pre-internet. Like nobody was looking at like Encyclopedia Britannica. Like what does a building in the Middle East look like? Right?
Not a lot of windows, and the windows aren't very big.
It seems like
or they're
yeah,
barred.
right.
Yeah. Like, no. So, where was your first tour?
It was Iraq when we invaded Iraq.
Into
2003.
the invasion.
Mhm, that's right.
And so you're staging there, like in Kuwait,
Fighting holes.
dude.
Yeah, we were doing some like minor training. It was a significantly different time frame.
Well, yeah, everything was being made up then, like
Yeah.
literally, like on the fly.
This was like a big Marine Corps thing.
Yeah.
So you have to remember that this was the only big Marine Corps thing we've done since the Gulf War, and we haven't done any big Marine Corps stuff since then.
Yeah.
And doing stuff as a division, I mean, one MEF was out there like the entirety with like Task Force Tarawa from the East Coast. And it sucks because there's a bazillion and you're all waiting for, it's not like the later deployments where, I mean, it was squads, platoons, companies, maybe the battalion. It was big. It was slow. It was very confusing, especially at that point in time.
Yeah.
You know, nobody knew what was going on. I can't tell you anything about OF1 unless you want to know what the back of an Amtrak looks like. You know, like, because you stop, set security.
Yeah.
Like you're a boot. You want to stay awake in your fighting hole. There's camels.
You're doing the job.
Right, you're doing the job. And it was completely, I have like very few, there's like a few like memorable like firefights, but like this a blur of not sleeping and being happy to get on the mob suits when we were close enough to Baghdad.
Hell yeah.
To get into camis, yeah.
How do you feel about Generation Kill as like a piece for that time? You feel like it pretty well covers some of that, the dysfunction and
The book or the TV show?
well, the book's definitely.
The book is, you know, it's from like a outsider's perspective talking to like Lance Corporals.
Lance Corporals,
right.
yeah.
I thought the TV show is a good like representation of what it was like in general. Like the style of the show, I thought was really good. I think we watched that together.
We did.
We did,
yeah.
CAF. And when
CAF,
we first, we
CAF.
went to
We watched it in
Afghanistan first
Kandahar,
time. That's
yeah.
right, we did.
What I just like the person, how it's so personality driven by like him and Skarsgård, how it's just the crazy dude jacked on ripped fuel and they're just like winging it. Also Rudy Reyes, still such a babe, you know. I don't know anyone who has a bad thing to say about him. Like one of the coolest dudes ever. He's incredible.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know, we'll figure it out. Like that's the whole vibe of the show. We'll figure it out. I mean, even when they're like, they send him to what's his name to go buy, like they're like, hey, they'll only let us buy so many cans of dip. You need to go in there and max out.
Yeah, I can't even remember. Like that, there was a severe tobacco shortage.
Yeah.
Until we started getting like Iraqi cigarettes. Like they were like Sumers.
Okay.
And Pines.
Dude.
Because like later on, we never smoked like Afghan cigarettes for the most part.
We had Pines.
We had a good supply of American tobacco products.
And you would supplement with Pines. That's how I
needed
remember.
to, right? But I think we always had them, didn't we?
We had Camel Crushes.
Yeah,
That
but
was
we had
like-
American cigarettes. I feel like almost the whole time, even in that entire op, which was very austere. So.
Well, when they weren't stealing the mail, so you can't tell us much about the invasion. I like your perspective on it. You're like, I can tell you what the back of an Amtrak looks like.
Yeah, because it's like clueless.
Yeah,
like where is this Baghdad? No, it's not. Like where are we? What are we doing? I'm tired.
I'm tired. 7 months, and then you come home, and then they're like, hey, we need a team leader. And they're like, you're going to be first team leader.
During this point in time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like on a FAP at one point because I was going to try to like go somewhere else or do something else. And then came back to the company. It was Echo 25. And we were in the workup at that point. Because I got back from this FAP and we thought we were going to go into Fallujah to support 1-5.
Mm-hmm.
But we ended up not going. So we were just continuing with this workup. I'm trying to remember like all the aspects of this. And we had a really good company commander who I still talk to. He actually just retired.
Oh, yeah.
Colonel Eric Doherty. And he came from, he was a 1-6 guy when he was like platoon commander. He was lieutenant time. And then he was in Fast Company. And then he was in charge, he was like officer in charge of CQB school.
Hell yeah.
So when he got to Echo Company, it was all kicking doors all the time as far as like operating in an urban environment.
Yeah.
Because he obviously felt like that was the most dangerous thing we could do, is doing any type of like interior building fighting. So we did a lot of that, a lot of shoot house stuff during that workup. And I was trained for a few months, and then we went to Ramadi in September 2004.
Now,
and we relieved 2-4, which was also in 5th Marine Regiment.
so by this time, so 2004, I was still in high school. This is when I became aware of the Marine Corps specifically. That was when young Zach was on Live Leak, and I was watching guys like you going house to house and on buildings with grenade
Watching that,
launchers.
like the India 3-1 video.
Just like all of them. Yeah, just like, click, click,
Right.
I don't say anymore else.
Have you seen that, like, the video where it's like you're watching an early 2005 Iraq video, and it's like they're doing like the text on the screen, like how they used to make videos.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, like a parody of it. They were, all those videos were like that, you know.
Every single one of them. There was just one guy who could read, and then he became the editor.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the times of my friend Nate McCafferty used to call the videos of like extended driving footage, and like nobody cut the video, so you'd watch it for 8 minutes until they hit an IED.
Yeah.
Just driving down some road in Iraq.
There was a lot of that.
Right.
Is Live Leak even still around? Is it up?
Oh, I think it is. It's kind of like, what is it, 9gag? Same thing, right?
Yeah. Or, you know, just call it Twitter now. You want to see the war? Just go on
Just
Twitter.
go on Twitter.
Yeah. You get everything there. Like, it's so crazy. I just remember,
it looks like it's not around anymore. It's more or less just probably
it's everywhere now.
A channel on YouTube is what it's probably become.
See, well, yeah, but like, you know, Ronnie, who runs Funker, they do war coverage now, you know, and all that stuff. And so that's probably
that's Funker.
5:30.
Yeah,
Funker 5:30. Why am I saying Funker? I'm getting it wrong, but they cover it, and then like, it's just the internet used to be very segmented, and I kind of miss that. Like, you want to. Like, I want to learn about baking. So you get all your baking stuff. Now it's like, I want to learn about baking. Here's a guy in the Ukraine. Like, it's just, they're like, no. I kind of miss, oh, yeah, dude. Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Now we're talking.
Stuff, yeah.
Now look at that. Just bros. And I remember the new camis came out, and I was like, dude, they look so sharp.
Digital, but that time frame.
So cool.
2004. Didn't have to iron them or shine black anymore.
I just remember that was the one thing my uncle told me, because he was in the first Gulf War. He was like, black boots, it sucks, and chocolate chip camis, which is why I like chocolate chip camis so much. The first ones I saw, dude, just a bunch of bros. I love it.
There's Castle, yeah.
Look at him. So Ramadi, that was a very not popular city. It's a place I heard about a lot when I got to 1-6, but was it house to house? Like, what was it like there?
It was a meat grinder.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people, you have to think about like how things went. Like 2-4 wasn't in the invasion. They were on the Rock. They were in Okinawa.
Okay.
During OIF-1. So 1-5 and 2-4 was all 5th Marines.
Mm-hmm.
They went out for the first part of OIF-2. And 2-4 was in Ramadi, and they did not have the equipment they needed. They didn't have, the vehicles were not set up at all for any of this. And they had to learn everything on the fly. They had hellacious casualties, especially they had like April, they had a significant, I don't know if you call it an uprising, but they had like an entire squad KIA at one point. Everyone was killed.
A whole squad?
Mm-hmm. I think that was Echo 2-4. So the way that it was laid out was, like Hurricane Point, it was the same as when 2-5 was there. It was where Battalion Maine was at, and Weapons Company ran out of there, and they were all mobile. And I think the 81s were incorporated in like their mobile sections. I think they were set up to shoot a loom, but they didn't shoot, HE inside the city.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think when we were there, nobody shot HE.
Yeah.
Hardly any CAS either. just because the place is full of civilians.
Yeah.
And then one line company was at the Snake Pit, which was pretty close to Hurricane Point on like the western side of this little peninsula in Ramadi. And then 2 other line companies would be out at Combat Outpost. Yeah, Combat Outpost. And the eastern part of the city. And like when 2-4 was there, that was Echo and Golf. And then Fox was the Snake Pit, because our company, we were at Snake Pit and we relieved them. But it was just a meat grinder, you know?
Yeah.
You know, there's enemy insurgents everywhere, small groups. Yeah, it was largely the same when we got there. We just had better vehicles, and we were getting more information like during our workup as far as, you know, what they were running up against. But it was still a squad and platoon ops, some company ops. We did some company level like clears. You know, a lot of IEDs, a lot of small arms fire. And then Fallujah happened in November. And a lot of people say like that Fallujah killed most of like the low skill insurgents in Iraq during that period of time, who were like kind of homegrown Iraqis, not necessarily foreign fighters.
Okay.
I mean, somebody else, like people have different opinions on that. But things were more sophisticated, and the enemy was more sophisticated after that.
After Fallujah
I
and
think
Ramadi?
so. Yeah, because a lot of the low skilled guys just died in place. But I think we saw, you know, that we just had less contact after that, but then it kind of picked back up. And it's kind of funny because there's a lot of stuff, because I just had a reunion. People are talking about stuff, and I'm like, oh, I forgot about that, or like this, that, like different circumstances, or who was where.
Why did that happen, you think?
What's that, though?
You forgot about it just because you kept moving?
Well, I think it was everything is kind of mixed together depending on the number of deployments you do.
Yeah.
And then like the earlier stuff becomes a little bit more like faded compared to like a lot of things, like 1/6, like a lot of Marjah things, like I remember.
Yeah.
Vividly, you know.
Well, and at that time too, it's not really that many years, but I'm so glad Christy gave me a camera, because I was able to document so many things, as opposed to like.
I took a lot more pictures during those Afghanistan deployments than the wind-up cameras I think I had in Iraq. I don't think I have like a few pictures of like when we invaded Iraq. Some people took more, I'm sure, but I have a lot of. I think I have more pictures of you than any other person I know. Like if I look at like my Google photos, I probably have 200 or 300 pictures of you over the years, probably.
You're one of the auto-populated faces I
right?
have. Yeah. It's like you. It's you. He's becoming one now. And the girls, and like just it's just like,
it's funny.
Who is this person? It's you. It's like
right.
No, it's well, it's like my memory this time is, you know, watching. I just remember being like, this is so crazy, and like it just seemed like a brawl. And it just drove me straight to the Marine Corps.
Right.
And I remember I didn't understand a lot of stuff. I was like, why are they numbering deployments? I didn't understand any of that. And like.
It was not as sophisticated as like when we were.
Not a lot of finesse.
There was not. It was a lot of 90s mindset.
Yeah.
A lot of 90s people were in the Marine Corps at that point in time.
Oh, yeah.
And like they hadn't necessarily joined up to. Yeah. Depending on how you look at things, like if you're like a sergeant or a staff sergeant. You've just been on Westpacks or med floats or went to Okinawa. And it's like, hey, you're a platoon sergeant in combat. You know, experiences may vary for different people, you know, rather than the advantage of coming up and basically being like every billet in a rifle platoon prior to being like a squad leader, you know, where you have an idea of how to do things.
I can't imagine what it's like now.
Ugh. I don't hear good things. It breaks my heart.
Because like, I mean, like you're talking about, I mean, during the time that even we were in, like, we had been at war for a decade plus.
Yeah, the gear was better. The comms were better. The training was better.
Everybody in your platoon had combat experience. It wasn't just like leadership. Now, I mean, those guys are few and far between.
Right. I think a lot of them.
At the platoon level?
Yeah, at the platoon level, for sure.
I question, level of training. Or level of experience, I think, is sometimes we put like too much of a premium on that.
100%.
So it's like,
it's like you said, experiences may
combat
vary
before, and it's like, what does that mean?
Tell me what you did.
Yeah. So I mean, like, what
Yeah.
What do you know how to do? What not? Does it mean you won't freeze?
Yeah.
Because people like, even in the Marine Corps, they put like a total premium on like, oh, this guy, they have combat experience. Yeah. What
Yeah.
does that mean?
Salt
What do you know
dog.
how to do?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people in the Marine Corps now probably know a lot from having unlimited amounts of information to read.
Yeah.
And YouTube videos. All their publications are available to them. And I think they probably, I bet their training is better now. I'm sure the training's better.
Yeah.
Because they know how to, there's more nuance to it. They know they need to be we were always adaptable, but now I think there's probably some more creativity, especially like at the platoon levels with like lieutenants, squad leaders. You know, they think a little bit more.
Yeah, I think that's what we benefited from too. Even when we came in, like the people we were being trained by already had combat experience. They already there was those mistakes already out there that they learned from.
Right.
Like we at least had a general idea of what you're about to get into and what you're training for at that time.
Well, it's like all the
because before that it was like guerrilla warfare.
Right. But like all the principles are the same. Like fire and maneuver and fire and movement are the same whether you're in World War II or in Iraq.
Yeah.
You don't move, fire and maneuver. You want to have suppression. You want to use machine guns. You want to use mortars in succession to suppress an objective, to get your maneuver elements moving around. And then when you can't advance any further, you have to go in fire and movement. And you're not going to move unless I'm firing and vice versa to get on top of the objective. That's like, I think we kind of like the whole, it's like getting into really tactical,
Perfect.
blocking and tackling. Like we just need to know the basics and then we can fit the situation. We're going to use these basic tactics when we get to this environment.
And adapt to the terrain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But it's the same thing of like being able to shoot well, being able to communicate. And where you're at, you're always going to have that. Because nobody wants to be running while nobody else is shooting on your behalf, like.
That's the truth.
And I've seen that, compared to Afghanistan, which was, I was talking to Andy Rouser yesterday, when he was like very greenside patrolling, where we were using greenside techniques. We were in wedges, we were in echelons.
Oh, yeah.
We had machine gun teams out. Right. It wasn't like urban where it's like 360, get shot in the back from an alleyway. It was very like, we could navigate this.
We could navigate
We could navigate this and use all of our tricks,
Tools of the trade.
Oh yeah, setting up rally points, like
right.
I mean,
We did
that
all of
stuff.
that.
Yeah.
All of that. Right.
Yeah. Well, after Ramadi, you had to, if people don't know this, so if you want to pick up staff, you got to do a B billet, right? In the Marine Corps. So you came out and you're like, hey, I want to be an instructor.
Yeah, so I didn't do a special duty assignment.
Yeah.
Which is I did like just an instructor job.
Just an instructor job.
Yeah, I went to Edson Range and did like rifle training for like recruits for like 2 years.
Was that fun?
No. I mean, it's okay, like individually with individual recruit kids, doing, working through the kneeling position or the prone position while they're trying to qualify. You have them for like 5 days. But I remember this vividly. Like by October, the herds are coming through.
Yeah.
Like the summertime. Like
Yeah.
everybody out of high school. And you'll have like 3 targets as a coach, like on the line. They have 3 targets and like 6 relays. So like
Shooters on the fire line.
18
Yeah.
recruits.
Yeah.
You know? And it's just like, and you're keeping track of all of them and like who's a troubleshooter. And like there's a primary marksmanship instructor who's in charge of the overall platoon. And he's like coming around and being like, what are they looking like? What's their prone looking like? And there's certain things they're always worried about, like, like you're confident, like prone and sitting, you can work through that. But then it's like kneeling. Okay. And then standing can be like
A nightmare.
Standing could be a nightmare. And every coach has a different way they do it. And basically, like a lot of things, it takes all the fun out of shooting,
It's such a weird shooting style. I know it's changed, but at the time, I just remember them like, we got a 2-point sling, you wrap it, and then you're like,
Hasty sling.
yeah, I used to always be like, I'm preparing to fire. Like, because you're just like doing like the biathlon stuff.
Yeah, and I guess they're training it, and that's Stephen Vallejo, our old platoon sergeant. He's retired. He was the gunner out at Paris Island. They changed a lot of the combat shooting criteria, even for like entry level now.
I heard they have ACOGs in boot camp, and
They do, yeah. They do. Yeah.
and Moore, Gunner Moore, shout out Gunner Moore, told
Danny
me,
Moore,
they have LPVOs in the line units now.
Yeah.
Wait, are they still learning on iron sights first and then go into that?
I don't think they are.
Because we had ACOGs. when
In
I
boot
was
camp?
going through. Yeah, oh yeah. But
Did you have iron sights in boot
I
camp?
had iron sights.
but we
yeah.
had iron sights too, and you had to
backup
qualify
sights,
with yeah.
Yeah.
You had to qualify on irons first, and then you could mount your ACOG, and then you could
I'm fine with that because that's learn it. This is what you'll do.
Yeah,
right?
because what happens when it gets knocked off, or if it gets
Amen.
knocked off, or
I think that goes back to like what's really effective. Like I want to say like, oh, we should do classic, like what do we call it? Table 1
Yeah,
back then.
table
one,
Yeah.
you know, classic marksmanship style training. I'd like, you know, where you're wearing like a gun belt and you've got
Yeah,
like, the
yeah,
pouch. Like
yeah.
the last time I shot on the range, I had like a belt I specifically wore with like the
Yeah, you had the
3
belt.
mag things
Yeah.
in there, you know, so it's the easiest way to shoot on the range.
Yeah.
I think that I like that, and it's very like Marine Corps-ish, like marksmanship fundamentals. But it's like, is that actually beneficial, or is there a better way to do it that actually helps people fight in combat? I know they've studied that, and I'd like to think that, especially if Stephen Blahos and Danny Moore have worked on it and they know about it, that it is a better way of doing it. So the nostalgia train's got to leave the station, you know?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like I feel like my generation was like the last group of that because I'd even heard from like the boots and stuff that they had changed everything they were doing, and they're like,
Probably, yeah.
yeah, we've got to be more practical, like because the Marine Corps, again, what people love it so much is the tradition, but there's always like weird hangups people were like still holding on to, especially in tactics that I saw at the lowest level.
Absolutely,
because you would make fun of them all.
Yeah, I guess I would.
No, the Cold War stuff. He'd be like, "Well, I guess we're gonna train like we're going to Russia."
Right.
Yeah. But we're about halfway in, so now it's finally time for my favorite part, me. But no, I'm gonna tell everyone how we met. This is our meet cute, right? So you leave. What is it called? Recruit training. And you go east, you go west coast to east, and you
much like I'm doing today. I'm
much
driving
like you're doing
across
today.
country. That's right.
It's the reverse.
Yeah.
And then you come over to 1-6, and you become a squad leader. And you're there. And at that time, 1-6 was tasked with the 24th MU Marine Expeditionary Unit, and we had to do helo dunker training, and I was a boot, and my life was hell.
You got to give context to what a helo dunker is for. Do normal people watch this show?
Normal people do watch it. You're right. It's imagine hell. No, so a helo dunker, if you have to be qualified for certain things, and if you're on a helicopter, you have to train in a simulated environment that you're in a helicopter and it goes down in the water. How do you get out? And it's various different days of training. Will you hit? So that's the big helo dunker. This will be.
And we had like the little. I don't understand why we never got to do that. That would have been.
We did a
hilariously-
tube one.
Yeah, we had the.
Not that one though.
Yeah.
Ours was like a bench, and yeah, it was not that. Like that's highly sophisticated. And they drop it, they spin it, and then you have to get out, and then you're blindfolded.
Where's this training at?
The pool.
That's
at
the
Camp
pool.
Lejeune.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
training pools or do that.
This one looks like it's actually in California though, because it looks like it's outdoor.
This is actually pretty badass. We didn't do anything like this. We did like down aircraft, but not in the water. This is badass.
It's a whole week dedicated. So the cool part about being with the MU is you get a lot of training because it's supposed to be like a base on wheels. But it's a whole week of training classes. They show you like these videos of this went good, this went bad. And so, had to swim qual and stuff, but like that's the final thing is you get in the helo, they flip it, you go out the window or whatever area you're in. And, but all of the boots were being terrorized by all of the senior guys. And there's all these like, picture me, right?
I think you have to break down the hierarchy.
Yeah.
Like the terror typically comes from team leaders.
It comes from team leaders. Usually like, so you have your platoon, for anyone who doesn't know, you have your platoon about 30 people, give or take, right?
Something like that. 40-ish.
30 to 40 people.
Yeah, 30 to 40, yeah.
And then you got your squads, which are 12 to 15, roughly. And then you have your team leaders, and he's in charge of 3 people. And like your job as a boot is to do what you're told, not make a scene, and then
Get
leave.
thrashed.
Yeah, just get thrashed.
Right.
be on time.
Be on time.
Right.
Like someone says do something, you don't go, that sucks. You just do it, and then that's it. You move on with your life. Well, I was in one of the simulated dunkers, and it was just a chair that they put you in a cage, and they roll you over, and they flip you. And all the boots are there, and I just got done, and I see this guy walk behind me. And I knew he was a sergeant because I see him around, but he's in a different platoon. And he goes, hey, Marine, looks like you could use some more training. And I was like, I just got done, Sergeant. He goes, no, you didn't. And so he just like kicks me in the thing, and I go back in the pool.
I said wrong answer.
That's how we met.
Yeah. Don't remember this at all. Yeah.
Real pivotal moment of my life.
Right.
But it was not even that bad because I was in a different platoon and I was getting hazed every day. I can't name
That's
names.
to really put it mildly.
That's to put it mildly.
Yeah.
But I had.
You don't name names at this juncture.
I mean, I don't. He would love it. He would love it if I named him. But like, it's. I mean, I don't care. It was my platoon sergeant, and he had a real hands-on approach to leadership, right? And real hands-on. He's really in the weeds.
He was very intrusive leadership.
Very intrusive.
He was very involved.
I don't want anybody to catch a case. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
He was, hey, good to go. You know, just like screaming at people all the time. He had to leave the drill field early because of his enthusiasm.
Were we talking yesterday? I was talking on the phone, I think when I was driving out here. I can't remember how I was talking about when he would write notes. He said he didn't use a notebook. And like when he was in the company office for meetings, he'd write on his hand and he'd be out there talking to your platoon. And he's like talks through his palm first, and then he starts with digits. Then he goes into digits.
Yeah.
It's like, Bell, you've got to be at dental tomorrow. And then he's like...
That's not, but he wouldn't say it like that. He'd be like, Bell, you boot bitch. Apparently you've got to go to dental because you're weak as shit. And I'm like, it was required. I had to get my checks.
People wonder why we didn't go see them. Like,
yeah, it was stuff like that all the time.
In the Marines.
Bell, you fucking suck. You got to go do Humvee training like a boot whose wife doesn't love him. And I'd be like, what the fuck?
Like, you put me on the roster to do this.
Yeah, you submitted me. Yeah. Like, what are we talking about? And God forbid you didn't have your right in the rain in your cargo pocket. But every day he would yell at us because he didn't have notepads. He's like, where's your writing? You know, where's your stuff? But very enthusiastic guy, right? And so my whole workup was
passionate.
Was passionate.
He was very passionate. No one can deny that.
His passion was undeniable. You know, undeniably a passionate guy.
Yeah.
And it was so passionate that he would sometimes be in formation and he would see someone in another platoon and he was known to walk out of the platoon and be like, hey, fucking come here. Like, and so like other platoons would like brawl with him. Like he was always like freelancing, terrorizing. Like he was always on the clock. But his whole workup, I'm in 3rd platoon, right? And Ryan's in 2nd platoon. And 2nd platoon was known as being the coolest platoon.
It was definitely the coolest platoon.
It was so chill. And I'm like over there getting
that was
cracked
that
on
was
the
before
head.
we like de-nerded the entire company through attrition because we were, you know.
Yeah.
It was more sergeant squad leaders who showed up from other places, and we were still in the process of making it into our own company.
Yeah. You guys go upstairs. You guys go to a different company. Yeah. Yeah. Those were the days.
There's a change in culture that was going on.
The culture was changing. But I'm there through this whole workup. Pre-deployment leave. If you guys pop hot, a lot, like 30 in the whole battalion.
Was that many guys?
And I know specifically because I stayed back to watch.
Oh, yeah.
So my daughter could be born, my first daughter, and my oldest daughter. And when I came back so Alpha had left, and then I left with Charlie Company, but all of them were back. And so it was literally a platoon of people who had popped hot on a piss test.
How many were from our company? I remember there was a guy from 2nd platoon.
Yeah.
He was like one of the squad leaders.
Yeah.
Like a security force, Ramadi guy.
Yeah.
And
I can't remember how many there were exactly. I know there was 2 guys who were boots with me. They actually...
Sean Dinan was not happy about that.
He was not happy.
Commander. He was not. He was extremely mad
Dinan,
about that.
yeah.
Yeah. Colonel Dinan, he's out there somewhere.
In defense of those Marines, I'm not condoning any type of drug use. But we were going to Afghanistan. You know what I'm saying? You know, ask me no questions, I'll tell you no lies. Maybe don't do drug tests prior to pre-deployment leave.
Well, I mean, there's different ways of looking at that. Like you just jettison some less dependable people, maybe.
Facts.
Right.
But I'm saying if you're a hammer, everything's a nail. You
right.
know?
I would say that I recall a lot of the pops. I recall the 2nd platoon pops from that event. And that was to me like somebody took a knife and just trimmed the fat right off that. I was like, because Sean Dinan was very mad.
Yeah.
And I was like over there like
just scheming.
I was like, man, this is not bad. We just solved a lot of problems.
Yeah.
I don't think those guys, any of them were in my squad at the time.
No, 2 of them came back because they were honest. They had them the stuff and they actually let them stay and do the deployment. And you know, they made a mistake. They admitted it. You know, they were honest. The guys who lied actually all got separated. Mm-hmm. And they were like, no, Like you're done.
Yeah, they're not kidding about that zero tolerance.
No,
thing.
they're not kidding about that.
Yeah.
And it sucked because I had to do formation with them for like a few days until Charlie Company left, and every day they would like yell at me until they realized that I was there just because I was a father. And they were like, "Hey, you suck, you blah blah blah," and they're going, and Bell.
Yeah, you're about to go. Police call the parking lot. Until
Yeah, and I was
yeah.
like, Staff Sergeant, I'm like, go. I can't remember who the guy was who was on RTB. I was like, I don't have to do that, right? And he's like, what? He's like, you're a drug. Never mind. You can go up and play video games in the barracks. And so like that's what I did while the rest of them were like getting tortured for what they had done. But all I have to say is, so they go to Kandahar Airfield. We're practicing the exiting the helos, like
And
setting up the security sector.
we were a helo company.
Yeah.
By Alpha 16
by
is
trade.
the helo company
Yeah.
by trade. So
Yeah.
during the MEU workup, we did a lot of helo ops.
A lot of helo ops.
And we knew, so we also knew like trap, like we were the trap platoon as well, tactical recovery of aircraft and personnel. So there's a certain level that where if an air crew goes down, where we would use trap rather than like SOF or like PJs to do like the combat search and rescue. So we did that during the workup. So we were very helo familiar by that point.
And it was always drill, and third platoon's the worst. like we were drilling the most. People would make fun of us. He would pull us out because it was
Were
literally
you guys
like,
actually doing drill?
we were drilling the exit and setting up security
Yeah.
out of the. This is the last thing I did with third platoon, and so my platoon sergeant hated me. I don't know why exactly he hated me.
I'm gonna push back against that.
I don't
a little
know.
bit. I don't know. Like you should probably talk to him. I can find him.
We're fine.
I could have him call you.
We're
and
fine.
You can hash
He
it
would
out.
take way
You
too
can
much
hash it
credit
out here.
He would take way
You
too.
should have him on the show.
He would take way too much credit, and it would bother me till the day I died. He didn't actually train me as much as my squad leader and team leader did, but he would be like, "I knew one day you would be a good podcaster." Like he would. That's like Bell was a fucking bitch, you know. Like he would say the craziest stuff. Like one time, one of the boots, I'm not gonna name him, one of my peer complained to the company staff about him. And so he held a platoon meeting and was talking about land nav, and he goes, apparently one of you thinks I'm too tough. Guess what, motherfucker? I've been investigated before. I'll be investigated again. I'm still here. Back to land nav, bitches. And like he continued the class. Like the one guy.
He wasn't lying. He was
One guy was just
absolutely
sweating,
right. Yeah.
and we were all like this, like, you're so dead, dude. You're so dead. But
Guess he's not gonna make it back from this deployment.
yeah. But so we're doing these drills. And I just showed up. We done hikes, all this stuff. And I don't know. He comes up to me and he had like all these mannerisms, but his big thing was sunflower seeds, but he wasn't really good at spitting out the shells, so he would just like chew them up and like he would just do that. And he's like, Bell, Davis, get over here. I was like, dude, what just happened?
This
like,
in Afghanistan.
This is
Kandahar.
It's in Kandahar.
Airfield. Yeah.
And he's like, guess what? Remember those idiots who did coke?
Yeah.
Yes, Staff Sergeant. Well, we got to change the company. You two are going to second. And I just like froze. And I was like, what? And he's like, you're going to second. I'm done with you. Go to Hafner. And I see Hafner, this Midwestern king, this beautiful, nice man who I had known. I'd seen him once or twice. And he's like, come here. And he goes up there and he goes, you two are now in second platoon. I'm going to put you guys in second squad. You'll be under Sergeant Madden. And he goes, I'm not like Lum. He's kind of crazy. Like he literally, and I was like, is this like really happening? Are we like, I felt like Andy in Shawshank Redemption and like being in Mexico, being free, because none of it made sense. And it was such a big deal that when we went back to trade hooches, like all of my friends were like, of course Bell goes to second. They were like throwing stuff at me, like literally, oh, must be nice going to second, must be nice. Some of them didn't talk to me, and then that was when I like officially met Ryan for the first time. And he
Came over to the tent.
He came over to the tent, came up to me, and he goes, oh, my name is Ryan. I go, good to go, Sergeant. You're like, listen, when we're not at work, you can call me Ryan. Got it? I'm not going to treat you like a robot. Welcome to second squad. And patted me on the back, and I was just like.
And give that personal touch.
Yeah. And then that was it. I was a part of second squad.
It's kind of like getting you into rehab. You know,
Yeah.
We had to rehab you out of third platoon.
Third platoon isms.
Yeah.
Yep. at first I was like, these guys are slow and lazy. And I was like, no, they're actually normal. I was in a bad place.
It's just there's different ways to do things. They did it very differently than the way we did it.
Yeah. There's two styles of Marine Corps leadership I've noticed during my short tenure. There's the hand.
Persuasive and authoritative.
And the fist.
There's a combination method that everybody likes to think that they're a combination. But most people they're either persuasive or authoritarian. Yeah.
Soft guidance or the fist. I was in a fist situation.
It was a solid fist.
There wasn't
a lot of...
right against junior Marines' heads on a regular basis.
Right.
But we did that tour, and, I'm curious to hear your memories of it. We talked a little bit about it, but like Garmser, we go in, we do all this stuff. First off, it felt like I was on the set of Tatooine the whole time.
Yeah.
But it just felt fun. I know some parts were dangerous.
It was very fun. It was great. The whole thing
Always
was
had
great.
the upper hand.
Always had the upper hand.
Just like, this place is awesome.
I mean, we were shooting, so on that, we went into Garmser to do that clear. It's like the perfect sized AO for the battalion, for battalion attack. Everything was... We were on the Muse, so we had dedicated air assets. So every advance, we were using mortars, we were using artillery, we were using close air support, nonstop. Basically everything. It was kind of like a brochure of like, what do you use a battalion landing team for?
Yeah,
like and just steamrolled through the place basically for the most part.
It just felt like we were winning the whole time. Like we had some casualties, which were that sucks. And it's horrible those people passed. But like, as far as like understanding and controlling the battle space, like I felt like we did it.
Right. But it was also very beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah.
Like we were going to go in, clear, and then occupy, which we did.
Yeah.
In short order. There's some things. I haven't read, like Charlie Company like attacked Jugram Fort, which was like a Taliban position.
Yeah,
that
I forgot about
that. Pretty significant battle. I guess, for the lack of a better term. I don't know why I said battle sounds really dramatic.
It does sound dramatic.
Like we're in this,
unless you're referring to the Battle of Marjah, then that sounds cool.
Right. But I think I was talking to, it was actually Stephen Vallejo. He was like, I cannot believe nobody was killed from the company in Garmser. There was quite a bit of contact, but it just worked out. Luck and some skill, I guess.
Yeah,
made it out. Like, when Charlie attacked Jugram Fort, that was pretty hairy.
Yeah,
from what I understand.
Yeah, I remember hearing about it, but I was a boot, and I was in boot rehab, as you say, right. And I was a machine compared to everyone else. Like, not in like
low agency, do as you're told.
Yeah, I had no independence. But in 3rd Platoon, the only one thing I had that came out good in 3rd Platoon is the fear of, if you're in 3rd, if you got asked a question you were wrong, like pain would follow. So like I was sharp on knowledge and team wedge, like I knew all the trade craft was drilled into me, because I would like spend off time being like, okay, this means this, that's a hand signal and stuff like that. So I came in there prepared, but I had no finesse. I was brute. I didn't know anything, but I had a really good team leader, Mike Cantor, who invested a lot into me.
Great team leader.
Was like, listen, you can do this, know my job, know his job, know their job, know the job above you and everything else.
Mike Cantor deserves though. We should talk about him a little bit. He's a great guy.
Yeah, he's an incredible guy.
He's a great guy.
Incredible guy.
Older than I was. A year older than me at the time. Super, very smart, very good with people.
Yeah.
Very professional. He always, just great to be around. He's just a great guy. Awesome guy.
Working with children. Yeah. Yeah. And he made me feel like a person. That was like one of the first times where I was like, and my team leader in 3rd, Brendan Kelly, was incredible. He taught me a ton of stuff too, but like it was the first time at the team and squad level where I felt like I wasn't just a number. And that was so unique. And it was just weird because like we didn't have good living conditions in Garmser at all, but like it felt like we figured it out. We went to a wedding.
Yeah, got very sick.
We snuck up on a wedding one night.
It was Mahmoud the machine shop.
It was Mahmoud the machine shop. We came through and
a night patrol.
A night patrol, and I don't know, just like out of nowhere. I remember like somehow I'd wound up on point and like you were behind me and you put your hand, you're like moving. And then we go through and I just remember like sweeping across. I was like, oh my God, there's like 12 people here.
Right.
And it was you're like, well, we'll only live once. And so
I mean, when else are you going to get the chance to go to an Afghan wedding? How many
Yeah.
people can say that?
Yeah.
And
so
we did. We sampled all the food. And that's where the downfall came in.
that's when the downfall and
I've never seen like 12 men and sicker than that at one time.
it was gnarly.
Because it was also like 1,000 degrees out. There was, we were living in mud huts, but with extreme food poisoning.
It was gnarly.
The level of discomfort, it was bad. I
Yeah.
can't remember, because I remember talking to Sean Miller, our platoon commander, after that, and he thought it was absolutely like hilarious.
Yeah.
Like
We were doing the job. We were out there
right,
winning
we were
hearts
out
and
there,
minds.
Yeah,
Winning hearts and minds. And then, whatever, we got sick.
right.
I just remember how good the meat tasted in the
It was
moment.
really good. Yeah.
What'd you guys have?
Lamb,
Goat-ish.
Yeah, it's like
lamb,
goat soup, right?
vegetables.
Yeah.
Then we had some type of milk.
Yeah.
And that's where
That might have
'cause
been
we
what-
ate a lot of Afghan food.
Yeah.
I've eaten tons of Afghan
Just
food.
the flatbread. The flatbread with the soup.
That was there. So what they did, when we came in, they quickly like rolled out another rug, right? So we come in, make entry. He goes to talk to him and starts breaking up everyone to do security. And then as he's talking to him, they roll out this rug and then they put a plate of rice. I remember steam was coming off of it and they put a plate of meat.
That's
and,
really good, yeah.
And then I was like, you're just eating MREs.
MREs.
Yeah.
Or like
My mouth is
packaged
salivating
crackers.
now.
Right.
Yeah. I was just like,
Right.
this is so good.
Right.
And then I remember he looked at us and he grabbed the rice and then he grabbed the meat and he like held it in his mouth and he ate it. And he's like, that's how you do it. And I looked at you and then you're like, well, we're
We
here.
had like the flatbread.
Yeah.
We were trying to do something somewhat Western with it.
Yeah.
Make some type of rice.
Yeah, it's very
Sandwiches.
much what we do in the Mexican culture with the tortilla.
Really?
Just
Yeah.
cut a piece of it off, get some rice, get some beans, get some meat in there, just throw it all in your mouth.
In the moment, it was like one of the coolest moments ever because I was just like, this is kind of crazy. Like we came in here looking for bad guys. Now we're at a wedding. What a time, We're like a real life wedding crashers event here. Then we all got violently ill in post and everyone was upset
Violently
they
ill.
had
Except
to
for
relieve us.
Adrian Curley.
Yeah.
He didn't eat any.
He didn't eat one thing.
Not one thing.
He didn't eat one thing. And he's like, this is dumb. I'm not doing it. But he still went to the wedding though.
He went, yeah. He just watched everybody get sick afterwards.
Yeah. Other than losing almost all the fluids in our body after that,
Right.
the rest of the time was great. I remember, you started like using it as OJT. You started being like, okay.
Yeah, the training time. Right.
We'd be on patrols and he started like making everyone run patrols, like as first enlistment boots. Well, it wasn't a boot anymore, but yeah. It was like, I don't know, probably the best training time I've ever had, honestly, looking back on it.
I was trying to incorporate like the orders process,
Yeah.
like Fraga, but even doing like full combat. I think at that, I don't know how things have changed, but like squad leaders course back then,
Yeah.
like a 5-paragraph order, you spend 2 days handwriting a perfect order, and that's not the purpose of the orders process. Like, 1/3, 2/3 rule. I got 1/3 time to plan.
Yeah.
Then you get briefed, and then you had 2/3 time to prepare. That's supposed to go down the line based on reverse planning. So we would try to use combat orders to get all the information out, know when to expect it, and then get everybody used to using. It's a tool. Why don't we use it as a tool that's useful, not like a process that we follow?
Yeah.
Smarter, not harder.
Smarter, not harder. And it was just incredible to me to be like doing it so early on. And then we came back and you left to school. Is that when you went to school?
I went to JFO in like 2009, like spring. It was at AP Hill because you went to AP Hill as a squad. You took over the squad.
Yeah,
when I was
because
gone.
you came to me and you're like, Zach, I want you to be my first team leader. You're APL, assistant patrol leader. And I was like, okay, this is cool as shit. Like, this is like, I'm like moving up.
I think at that point in time, like I'm trying to remember right now, because some people went to because we had weapons guys in the
Yeah.
platoon, and they went back to weapons. Like Chicky Chop went back.
Yeah, they
Davis went back,
desegregated
right.
the platoons again. They
And
made a
we-
weapons platoon. And then
We picked up some people because at that point in time we had a 4th line platoon because we didn't have we just where were machine guns at this point?
They went into weapons. They weren't.
Wait, so you just assigned him as your team leader, or like what's the promotion process like in the Marine Corps? I guess, or is it like
so? This is like by billet.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
we were starting the next workup. I'm trying to remember how this went. Like I remember I wanted to keep. I'm trying to think of who got kept. I know TJ Chips.
Yeah.
I kept TJ. You. I'm trying to remember. Groob stayed. Groob was. He was in.
He was in
squad.
He was in
third squad.
Yeah,
right?
but
he came over to second. Yeah. Who else remained?
It's kind of like a draft.
Yeah,
and I think everybody else is a boot.
Yeah.
So you just got designated as the team leader, and then later follows like the promotion. I guess
typically because we're going to keep the same people, and if the company did reorganize, like Wendell Sanders came over.
Yeah.
We got some more people from other platoons, so that fourth line platoon got dissolved, and they filtered back into the three doctrinal line platoons.
Gotcha.
So then it would have been me. Stephen Vallejo took over as platoon sergeant like shortly after we got back. And then Pat Main was first squad leader, who was a force of nature in himself.
Yeah.
So at that point, me and him picked who we wanted for the squads. And I think Wendell took over third squad at that point.
Who took over prior? Who was Hall running?
Matt Hall was
Matt
there.
Hall was
Matt
running.
Hall went on recruiting duty.
He ran it until Matt went on recruiting duty, and then Wendell took over.
Wendell took over.
Yeah.
And then, we basically did a draft, you know. And, it's kind of like if they were your boot, I think that was kind of a me and Pat decided, if they're yours, you can keep it. And Pat wanted to keep his guys because he had OB,
Collingwood,
and
then he took Conway.
Conway came
from fourth, yeah.
Right. So that's kind of how it all laid out. And then the boots dropped late 2008, like before Christmas, right? That's when the boots came.
It was Christmas. My time of doing police calls and remedial work finally came to an end.
The next workup started, as they always do.
Yeah.
The circle of life, infantry life.
The circle of the infantry life.
That's right.
It felt so good. I remember seeing them like a flood. I was on the third deck with Hodges, and I was like, "It's finally over." And he was like, "Thank God, bro!" You see them show up, and you're like, "I never have to police call again."
So you talk I don't even remember when they showed up.
You were
I was doing something else.
You were in the company office, but me, I'm like looking at a door close. I was just like, "This is the greatest moment."
A new phase.
A new phase has begun.
Right. That's right.
A new phase has begun. But we did the workup, and the whole time they're like,
the squad was really good.
The squad was insane.
The squad was really good.
Squad was insane. The training was fun. Workup, but
the guys too, like Nick Filato,
Adam Thomas, Sutton, Vibo, everyone, just pipe hitters.
Great guys. TJ Chips remained. TJ was there.
It was awesome.
Mitch Schilling came from Security Forces. Another great guy.
And my favorite part of that workup is when they were like, "You're going to the green zones in Iraq for 90 days." And I'm like, that sounds great.
Right. That workup was extremely long. It was a year and a half between, or I guess not a year and a half. It was 14, 15 months between Garmser and Marjah. But we had no idea what we thought we were going to go to Iraq.
What did you guys' workups consist of, or where do they take place? Do they take place where you guys are at, or do you guys go somewhere?
So it's a combination. So you do localized training. But usually it's the same. You try to do individual schools during the beginning, so you can maintain continuity within the platoons and the squads. And then do localized training.
So team live fires and stuff like that.
Run. Yeah. Do team leader training. Do fire and movement on the local ranges, and then eventually go off-site where you can have. It's always one of those things that I'm not an expert at Camp Lejeune range construction or how it's designed, but it's we don't have a company attack range. I guess that's not the same thing. You could probably, somebody from range control could definitely explain that, but you have to go off-site to do larger level ops. And then combine as far as the only company live fire range you're going to do in the Marine Corps is the only one we own is the 400 series out in 29 Palms.
Yeah.
So that's where you need to go to do company level attacks.
Gotcha.
And the Army has other company attack
we have
ranges.
JRTC and NTC, which is in Fort Polk, Louisiana, and
Port Irwin,
California. Yeah, from my understanding, the way I was always told is NTC is more for Iraq, JRTC, which is in Fort Polk, Louisiana, that's for Afghanistan. So they were just modeled after each other. So It's kind of shocking. I didn't know that you guys didn't have access to that stuff, or did you?
No, I mean, we don't have as many facilities. So, but we would go train in Army. We'd go to AP Hill.
Yeah.
In Fort Pickett.
We went to AP Hill and Pickett, yeah.
To do different ranges and to do, it's always like a balance during a workup because weapons platoon needs time to go do machine guns, mortars. Assaultmen need to do their rocket demo stuff.
Yeah.
So they need their own time and their own ranges. And then they need to be integrated with the line platoons into like our bigger training events.
In the midnight hour, yeah.
And this is always, you know, like the balance in like every battalion has to do, like how they're organized. And it's what you get is what you get. Like this is what you've got for your workup. And then you're deploying then, and then the battalion has to figure it out. And that's the rhythm of like, why are we still at work? And it's like, because they're trying to do, you know, it may not be the most, you know, everybody complains. In the company, even the company staff complains about it. But it's like, it's a rhythm. We're trying to get the shit done. And like, we say, hey, I need you to do this roster. And it's like, what do I have to do this roster?
I don't want to. Yeah.
Right.
It's just like, well,
But
why the fuck do I have to be here if y'all are trying to figure shit out?
Oh.
Right. Right.
But unlike third platoon, who would be, let's just lightly tortured during those dead
periods of
space
time.
times. Second platoon had a really good motto. We were famous for it, of out of sight, out of mind.
Right. That's why
Yeah.
you don't confuse effort with results.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of sight, out of mind. If you didn't have to be there, get out of here. Don't be seen smoking and joking at the smoke pit when everyone else is doing stuff. Shut the blinds, go in the room and be quiet. Wait till words passed. I loved it. It was like all the mature big boy rules. And I just, you know.
We were fairly organized though too. Like we tried to get things. We accomplished something. Like we tried to do
Every day.
every day. We had something we were getting done
That's good.
that we thought would be of value.
just
It's not
show up, just to
like
show up.
frolicking around and, you know, what I saw is like wasting. This is like by this time it's like my fourth workup.
Yeah.
It's like let's not waste time. Let's figure out what's important and identify that and get something done each day, even when we're in garrison. And we went out and did patrolling and we'd always PT.
Yeah.
But we didn't spend a lot of time with like, like destroying people's rooms or any of that kind of thing. We didn't really. It was more training emphasis than like extreme discipline, which I think is definitely a prior thing of, you know, let's take all your furniture out of your room and clean the floor, and then you're gonna PT at 2:00. You know, like. It's not actually productive.
No.
This isn't selection. It's not boot camp part 2. You know.
Yeah.
No, you gotta mature them up. And I don't know. I just
If you can, not everybody can do that though. Not everybody can actually. I want to say like plan something out and be like, no, kind of where we're going, where we're at right now. Where do we want to go?
Yeah.
Rather than just going to like the lowest common denominator of like, let's just fuck them up. You know, like let's fuck them up.
that was it was weird. Like, I don't know. It was jarring for me at first, but then when I got like used to it, to the independence, the accountability and stuff, I really loved it. And like, again, it felt really kind of easy. Not easy, but like it didn't feel like unnecessarily hard.
I mean that depends. Like, I was talking to somebody about this, like, because it was like like people wanted to come to second platoon.
Everyone wanted to come to our platoon.
I'm not gonna like when I had third platoon, people wanted to come to third platoon.
Okay, yeah.
But it's like, well, if nobody wants to be like, and this goes the same thing anywhere you're at. If nobody wants to be where you're at or like be with you,
Yeah.
are you actually like how good are you?
Yeah.
You know, like this isn't like we're not herding people up the beaches of like Iwo Jima and like Guadalcanal, you know, like we're just tossing ourselves into like Japanese machine guns. Like this requires a lot more planning, a lot more independent action. Andy Rouser and I was talking to him driving here yesterday because when we were in Marjah, he was the biggest satellite patrolling guy. I guess him and Brian Cage, Bill B. Andy didn't get into contact as nearly as much because the way his like he was broken down. His teams moved, I think almost immediately after they got outside of their patrol base. Like they didn't know where they were at because they were constantly moving around. So they never had the opportunity to attack them. And we did the same thing. Like we satellite patrolled a lot. And that's like all in independent action. Like team leaders are deciding like we're going to link up here. We can still mutually support each other if need be, but there's enough space and you know, you can make your own decisions and figure out what we're gonna do. We all have comm gear, and this like in 2001, 2002. It wasn't like that. We didn't have a ton of green gear radios.
Yeah. Y'all had pigeons and stuff. Just
right,
like,
like shitty ICOM radios that they worked. But it was much more sophisticated, you know. And the team leaders had to be able to make those decisions.
Yeah, it was. I remember when they told us we were finally going to Marjah, and then all the stuff that was happening around that. When the president went to West Point, announced a troop surge, and then very quickly we jump cut. We're in Camp Dwyer. I remember as a solar shade, and then they had a Wi-Fi password, and I was like, "Whoa, this whole military-industrial complex moves rather quickly." Like this is
about to put up a Pizza Hut.
Yeah, this Burger King around the corner.
Right.
But prior to the mission launch on the 13th in 2010, we did that patrol. We were out at that patrol base. We were probing the security sectors. Was that the purpose of it?
I think that we call it shaping. So
Okay.
we're basically trying to move them down to the southern part. So
Yeah.
the idea that is going to be like a ground offensive was, I think, the general idea.
Yeah.
Whether or not how effective that was, but they obviously knew what kind of helos we had and what we were likely to do if we're going to do a helo assault, which they probably. So in whatever case, we went down there and probed the southern defense that the enemy had set up,
And instantly it was dynamic.
Yeah, it was really dynamic. And there was a lot of enemy down there too.
There was a ton of
because Fiddler's Green was down there and 10th Marines, which they were set up out there with the guns, and they also were doing security patrols. So they were in a lot of contact doing their security patrols. And then we went down there and it was
chaos.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of it was contact immediately.
Yeah.
The leader's recon that did not go well. That was obvious.
Yeah.
That was when you commanded the platoon because making sure the patrol base didn't
You
get
left me.
overrun.
Yeah. Just when I trusted you, you left me like everyone else I love.
Yeah. We all went on that leader's recon with, is it 310, 210? Not sure.
I can't remember. 10th Marines.
Yeah. Which turned out tragic. The guy who was leading the patrol was Sergeant Chris Herbeck. He was killed during that, stepped on an IED. And we hit 3 total IEDs.
Boss, this was the leader's recon. They had just got there, and we were supposed to take over this place for like 30 days. And they're like, Zach, you're in charge. You're the platoon commander for now. And I was like,
shit.
I was like, okay, I'm an E3. I was like, nothing will happen. And then they go out, take casualty. Another vehicle comes up, IED. Another vehicle comes up, IED. And then all of them left me alone for like 48 hours, and I was terrified.
So who are you guys doing like your leader's recon with again?
We were just...
Was there already?
We were just.
Was there already another platoon there?
So 10th Marines, that's an artillery unit. They were down there and they were
Gotcha.
set up to shoot, and they were shooting in support of, I'm not sure who at that point, or if they were even shooting. Somebody else would know more about that. But that area, they were doing security patrols.
Gotcha.
So the thought process was we were going to push down and basically see if we could pull the enemy to the southern part of the city. It's not a city. We always call it people always call it a city when you're like, it's like a lot of mud huts.
Yeah.
But lots and lots of them.
Not really, a town hall that I found.
So it's like the way they were doing things was a bit different. They were always like mobile. They were always vic'd up. They were doing their thing. It was probably different than the way we would do it. We would do more things on foot, which was kind of how we, they were hitting IEDs, because there's only certain ways they could drive and only certain things they could do. So we were just trying to figure out like how they were doing things. And that's kind of how we're the leaders recon.
Yeah.
And that was everybody from 1st and 2nd was out there. Cause 3rd was at like Gators, cause they weren't out there. Like Brian and Andy and Tommy Malone and Hafner, they were all back there. Cause out there was like John Trickler, Maine, everybody from 1st and 2nd pretty much was out there. Except Matt, not Matt Hall. Matt Hall was there. Wendell was Wendell there?
Yeah.
Was he out with us? Yeah.
You all left me.
Yeah, it was pretty much you. You're the only show in town. All right.
Yeah.
And that goes for what, 30 days? Are you guys doing like leaders recon, or because we did something very similar? I mean, it was a leaders recon, or it's like a left seat, right seat, just with a battlefield owner.
We didn't really nobody had that battle space as far as
Gotcha.
ground.
Okay,
like,
so this was new territory.
This was like really new territory. We were just
Got
trying
it.
to soak up whatever we could from 10th Marines.
And this was in 2010, correct? Or what year was this?
10?
What? That was 10 because my youngest daughter had been born, so I know that.
I guess we left in December of 09. Right?
We left in December of
It was
09.
like January of 10 when we
That
went
was
down there. Right.
January. We were there for like a few weeks. And then that happened. And they're like, hey, you're going back. We're going to launch the mission. And then it was February to July.
February of 10.
10 to July, yeah.
Gotcha.
And we were in there.
All right, because I'm trying to think. We were in at that time the whole 101st had also been deployed. I got there in August of 2010. So, and we were in Pactica. We were in RCEs.
Yeah, it was dynamic. It was dynamic, and then it
was kinetic, as they like to
kinetic.
say.
It was highly kinetic,
Right.
and then we did that like stop in Fiddler's Green, and then we went back, and then we were like, all right, you're going into it. We're gonna invade. We're gonna do all this stuff, but first we got to do speeches, and then the world famous Gunny Walgren speech.
Gunny Walgren speech. That's right.
There it is.
That's right. Remember it well.
Yeah. We're across. Like, that's us actually right there.
Over on the side?
Yeah.
I can't remember where we were at.
We were
exactly.
underneath that light. Because that's 3rd platoon.
I see a whole bunch of do-rags. That motivates the shit out of me.
What a showman.
Just at the highest level.
Is that what we're called? I think y'all are some crazy goddamn motherfuckers. Now, one speech. Now, we've been talking about this. I'm kind of upset about the general speech. I'm kind of upset about the time
commander speech.
I haven't got any fucking goosebumps yet. Have y'all been motivated about this? Oh! I know y'all figured out another secret that the Marine Corps has. We don't tell you shit, and we play games. Man, I knew we were leaving tonight fucking 7 months ago. I'm telling y'all because we want you to get fucking pissed off. You might be envisioning us when you kill the enemy. But motherfucker, you're gonna be pissed. Marjah. Fuck that. What do y'all want to hear? Y'all want to hear the white sleeves? Fuck yeah. Okay, I'm doing the fucking white sleeve. We gotta fucking step across this parade deck and it's goddamn cold. I'm not doing that shit. Don says I don't like you. Neither do we. The white sleeves, that's too long. Y'all know John Glenn's speech, right? Did I tell you that yet? All right, we'll do that. We'll do that real quick. Who knows who John Glenn is? Ain't got time. John Glenn. John Glenn, first American to orbit the Earth in space. Killed. Was a senator for the state of Ohio. Oldest man to go back up into space because he's a PT god. Before all of that, he was a fucking Marine. An air winger, though. A pilot. Right, Captain Fitz? Right, have that camera. Get the fuck away from me.
The stuff he does, like understanding the moments, he's so.
Ran for Senate against a politician named Howard Metzenbaum. Howard Metzenbaum was a sorry motherfucker. John Glenn, at this point, was a Marine, first American to orbit the Earth in space. Howard Metzenbaum asked him, "How can you run for Senate when you never held a job?" What the fuck would you do if somebody said that shit to you? Now, I'm going to change a little bit of this. I can. It's my world. John Glenn said, "Is that right? I served 23 years in the United States Marine Corps. I fought through 2 wars. I flew 149 missions. My plane was hit by an aircraft fire on 12 different occasions. I was in the space program. It wasn't my job. It was my life that was on the line. And this wasn't a 9-to-5 job where I could take time off and take the daily cash receipts to the bank. I asked you to come with me as I went the other day to a veterans hospital. And you stand there. You look at those men with their mangled bodies. You look them in the eye and tell them that they never held a job. You come with me and visit any Gold Star mother. You look her in the eye and tell her son never held a job. You come with me to the space program and visit the widows and the orphans of Ed White, Gus Grissom, and Roger Chafee. And you look those kids in the eye and tell them that their dads never held a job. You come with me on this Memorial Day weekend coming up to Arlington National Cemetery, where I got more friends than I'd like to remember. And you stand there. You watch those waving flags. You think about this nation, and you tell me that those people never held a job. Fuck! I'll tell you, Howard Metzenbaum, You should be on your knees every day of your life, thanking God that there are some men who have held a job, and they required a dedication to purpose, a love of country, and a dedication to duty that was more important than life itself. Their self-sacrifice is what made this country fucking possible. Isn't that badass? Fuck you all. Isn't that badass? Hey, Roger that. Hoopy, are you motivated? I think you're right, quiet professionals. Fuck all that. Fuck all this talk about doing what you've been trained to do. You all know damn well you get out there and you fucking do shit because of the Marine to your left and the Marine to your fucking right. God, country, and Corps don't matter at that fucking point. Let the Taliban throw the fucking women and children in front. We won't shoot. We'll just fucking creep out around them with a cup of coffee, slap them on the fucking shoulder and say, what the fuck is your problem, bitch? Fuck them. Let them try to fight the United States Marine Corps Conventional. What the fuck is wrong with the stupid motherfuckers shooting me? Bring the AA gun down, bitch. Let's fucking do this. You're gonna do what you need to do for fucking each other, not for anybody else. And it's tomorrow, or maybe in a couple days, it might take a little bit longer than that. The people of Marjah will be on their knees every day of their fucking life, thanking God that angry. The string has been cut loose. They can't fucking stop us now. What the fuck are they gonna do now? Shit, fuck you, get up.
That doesn't make you want to run through a brick wall, check your pulse because you're dead. I mean, it's an incredible speech that, Ryan, remind me what company was there real quick.
It was Alpha 1-6.
Only Alpha Company. Yeah, because...
Were you looking forward to getting to this part?
Yes, this is all I really wanted to do. We can cut the rest of it. No, no. The
You should give him some like preamble.
So the context of this...
I mean, as far as you texting me too.
Yeah. Well, the context of this is all that day, the entire day, general, colonel, lieutenant colonel. And at one point I looked at Ryan, I go, are we going to die? Like, no one had given us this many warm-ups. It felt like, Vader talking to the troops before they took off on the Death Star or whatever. It was gnarly. And so we'd been staging. And so we finally get to this one point where we're in the middle of this field. We're waiting to walk to the flight line. And then Walgren comes out. And he had done a few speeches like this. He had the white sleeve story about the guys in Cuba. That was, I don't know if you've heard. That was an AP Hill. You weren't there.
Yeah.
You weren't there. I just remember that. But he had done his thing. He was known as this motivator and stuff. And, he was just always smoking little short Marlboro Reds and Red Bulls. Coffee cup, just crushed, not a drop of water in his body. And
no, I've never seen him drink water.
Me neither. I don't think he requires
I was at his house for 4th of July not that long ago, and he was not drinking
Doesn't
water.
drink water,
I'm pretty sure he
yeah.
had a coffee cup, yeah.
I saw him just drink. He's like, I like apple juice. That's what he told me. He's like, I like apple juice. And I was like, all right, cool.
He also didn't own any civilian clothes, I feel like. Like, he used to come to the company office, and he'd wear sweatpants and, an ITB
He's just a bro.
T-shirt, and then he'd change into camis, and then he would be there until, the middle of the night.
And he drove up in a Porsche, too.
Oh.
Yeah.
He had a purple Lexus, right?
He had a bunch of cars. Yeah. He had just if you want to see a warfighter, it's him. And so when we get to the end, he does this speech, and I can't remember who exactly recorded it from the company, but it was just our company there. And it was the only time I was like, all right, cool. This is what it's all about. Mm-hmm. But I could have never anticipated any of the stuff with Marjah, much less that speech is constantly on repeat in recruiters' offices. And so whenever I shared or something, I'm really honestly just trying to give some flowers and love and respect to the Marines of 1-6, because
what about heavy equipment operators?
Yeah, but there's so many people now who would just be like, I remember that speech, bro. It was so sick. 4672. Go werewolves. And I'm like, you weren't there. Why? I don't know. People do it all. There was 200 people there, and you can see most of them in the video. And maybe I shouldn't be so upset about it.
I just don't understand why is it a thing? I don't
know why people lie about it. They literally weren't there. I remember that. I'm not saying people from 1-6 were that's what I'm saying, but that was literally our company. He's our company gunnery sergeant.
Why would there be
other
speech? It's not a fucking battle. It's not I get it. It's a famous speech or whatever, but what the fuck? Like,
people
I
want
was
to be
in
part
that-
of something.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
More than,
Because at first I told him that this happens. He's like, that can't happen. I just started sending him receipts of people being like, I remember, brother, I was in blank
The
town.
heavy equipment guy.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
heavy
the way-
equipment guy.
yeah,
This
he's
guy was like, there was, I remember being there. Us wrecker guys were there, and I was like, there is no document.
Yeah, we use helicopters. There's no wreckers.
Why would the wreckers be following us to the helicopters?
Right.
And it's just, I don't know. It's low level stolen valor. I won't stand for it. There's people in that video who aren't alive anymore. Go pound sand, nerd. Like, that's the case closed. It's just because what I like about the speech more than anything else is it really does identify to me at that time why so many people were in the military, so many people joined. It's for your friends to your left and right. Like, that's really what it's all about. I wasn't fighting for anybody else other than my friends and my Marines. And, the best part about him is that's exactly who he is as a person, day in, day out.
Yeah, it's like that. I mean, that
Always.
speech with you guys not knowing what you're about to get into or what you're about to encounter, like that last level of like unknown and fear just kind of gets washed away after something like that, and you're just ready to fucking go.
Yeah.
It's like whatever hesitation you're feeling, whatever uneasiness you're feeling. And again, I'm not saying that it's not going to come back up, but it's something like that with a great leader, a great motivator that could stand up in front of a few men and fucking motivate you to fucking run into the unknown and just get rid of that last little bit of hesitation before it pops back up. I mean,
yeah, I think that by that time, so that workup had gone. The company was pretty cohesive at that point in time. Like, it was very cohesive. Like the culture changed a little bit between that last deployment and this workup and then deployment. So that was the right time for that speech with the great group of people.
yeah, you got frustrated Marines, probably pissed off. And like he said, like he literally just justified fucking why you're pissed off.
Yeah.
Right.
Like he made the connection there, which is like, fuck yeah, dude. That like, yeah, I'm fucking pissed off because we've been fucking waiting around. We don't know what the fuck's going on.
Right.
But I mean, he brought it all together and gave it meaning.
Yeah, there was the intel that we had prior to that. Like we were because you and I were talking about yesterday. We were looking at a map and we thought there was like our first like the MEB objective was that schoolhouse and the bazaar. I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
The schoolhouse and the
like,
bazaar.
The IED, the initial information as far as IEDs was like they were everywhere. They're all buried in the ground. It's homemade explosives, pressure plates. But obviously there were a lot of IEDs. There were not as many as we thought, luckily.
Not as many as we thought.
But we still, obviously hit plenty of IEDs.
They also like leveled a place. I remember we came around the corner and they're like, this is like IED alley. And we had APOBs and stuff. We were literally carrying.
MIC-LIC. Oh, yeah, we used APOBs. They used MIC-LICs down. When Charlie
Yeah.
Company drove up and in with Weapons Company.
So what after this speech, how long before you guys are boots on the ground?
Hours.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
That was late the night of the 12th. We arrived early on the morning of the 13th. Like when that speech. So we were literally in like a pre-staging area, getting
Gotcha.
ready to go to the flight line.
Yep.
And they were
We're like at the flight line, aren't we? We're close.
well,
to
no,
it.
they were trying to figure out how to get us to the flight line, but we didn't have enough buses because of all of our
That
rucks.
was when Hurley He's pack straps just pop.
Yeah.
I remembered that vividly. I think we were in Sticks and I'm not sure who was on our bird. It was our squad and a ton of A&A. We had a ton of Afghan army with us at that point. We were standing there and I think I heard this loud pop. I turned around and Hurley, he was wearing a Black Hawk assault pack and he was standing there. The strap like exploded. And I was like, oh shit. And I think I looked at you and I said, I'm like, his pack just broke. And we heard a second pop. It was loud, a loud pop. And he had no straps on his assault pack.
Oh shit.
And we're
done.
minutes from, and the 53s were starting to come into land. We were starting to get ready. I think Vallejo and Walgren went to an ISO and got, because we'd had casualties at that point, and got like an assault pack for him. And so that was the last, that was the biggest, the most inopportune gear fail I've ever seen in my life was when Hurley's pack died on him.
And then Schilling fell down because we went across that thing. He fell down too.
Oh, that's right.
He fell down because they were leveling the area and you couldn't see. And so we were like walking through this field and like he just like literally like tumbled down the thing just to get to the flight line. Like we could see it, but it was just chaos. And then we get on the birds and they're like, the birds are too heavy, lose weight. So,
I can't remember. I remember that after you brought it up.
Yeah.
So I think they were CH-53 Deltas, not Echoes, because the Echoes could lift anything. I think it was Deltas because we went out and we had a ton of water bottles and mostly water and ammo. And we were just tossing water bottles. The crew chief of the helo was standing there watching us as you and I, we were just tossing bottles. I don't know how we determined that this is sufficient and we can fly now.
Well, I remember the crew chief being like, we got to lose weight. And so me and Ryan went down the line and just tossed water bottles. And he's like, my flight line. And I was like, dude, what are you complaining about?
Yeah, we're about to do a helo assault. Like, somebody can clean it later.
Yeah. If you make it back and the AA guns don't shoot us down, which they had told us, that they're like,
Right.
Well,
We're
you can
playing,
deal with this.
Yeah.
When the sun rises and like, you're like, oh, these water bottles, the ground will be exploding out there.
Right.
And then landed right in the center of the town, went right to work.
Yeah.
Went right to work.
What's day one look like?
Day one, hectic. Like clearing the LZ, hectic. Carrying the APOBs, just trying to get to the areas.
We were at
How
the first objective by the end of the
This,
day.
yeah,
how
by the
long
end of the
before you
day.
guys see contact?
Hours when the sun came up,
The sun came up, we were in contact,
and it was
sporadic.
sporadic but intentional.
There's a lot of us at this point in time.
Yeah.
So, and we were moved. There's a lot of us
Yeah.
all consolidated. So that's not something they typically want to encounter.
Yeah.
So it was more, they tried to have some standoff.
Do you think they knew you guys were coming? Did they know?
We had told them with
Yeah.
pamphlets and stuff.
Yeah, because
and,
it was
yeah.
similar to kind of like the Fallujah op. Like we wanted to minimize, the civilians were leaving the area.
yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Minimize civilian casualties.
I remember seeing them leave as we started to land. Like you just saw like droves of people who were like, "Oh, well, this will be done in a week. Like this part will be done in a week." They know the game. You
Yeah.
know? The Americans are here.
Yep.
We'll just come back in a little bit.
That's what
And
they did.
we just started hooking and jabbing. Started hooking and jabbing, moving around. My memory of it, contrary to Garms, we were not in control of the battle space. It was dynamic every single time. I remember once you looked at me and you go, "These aren't contact patrols. These are combat patrols. There's a difference." I was like,
Yeah, not a security patrol. This is the combat patrol.
"It's a it's not
Like
it,
when we have machine guns,
Yeah.
when we have 240s and we're bringing
on every
yeah,
patrol."
rock. Yeah, it was we were going to make contact with the enemy. Yeah.
Not if-
we weren't securing we had no sphere of security.
No,
Really, it got better than worse.
yeah,
As far as like our level of influence and how far out we could get. Everybody on different Afghanistan deployments talks about like how far you can get out from your patrol base from when you turn over with the other unit, and we're gonna get out there and get deeper into the AO. And that's how they measure success, is how much freedom of movement they had. And we did not. Our footprint wasn't big enough. Like there was not enough of us.
No, there wasn't.
Yeah, there's too many of them, and they're all over the place. And like the way the platoons were distributed, there was not enough of us to make that much influence in the battle space, because we were in contact
every day,
especially when we broke down to squad level ops.
every single day. I was just like, "All right," like
Every day we were in contact.
every day.
How long before you guys take your first casualty?
I'm
Well,
not sure what day that was.
it was very early on.
Yeah.
It was
It's
March.
pretty early on.
March
Yeah.
was when our platoon took casualties, and then we lost a Marine in May from our platoon. But it was
How can you talk about that? Like how real does that become from like losing somebody like directly in your platoon? Like what's that do? One, to just like your mindset moving forward, and then two, like how do you
I have my
talk about how
opinions
you
about
overcome that?
So,
Yeah.
if you watch, I was talking about this really good interview with this guy. He was like a staff sergeant in 3-5, 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines. And he did like 3 separate tours in Vietnam. And like in Vietnam, Marines deployed individually. So everybody rotated differently. And like they tell a story, like guys in like Way City were like, mid-house clear. And they're like, "Hey, Johnson, you're going back to the world." So that's how they did it. And like you'd hear stories about, get 1-7, like 3 new guys show up, and it's like, "I don't even want to know your name. You're just new guy number 1. If you live through, this next op we do, So that's not effective. And they talk about in like 1965, when like some of the first Marines arrived, they were unit trained. They all deployed together, and like how good the units were. contrast that with GWAT era where we all deployed as units. But that the downside to that is it's somebody, your workup is however long it is, and they're highly cohesive, and it's essentially just an extension of your family. You're not just some guy that I met.
Right.
I don't even know where you're from. It's like I've known you for a considerable amount of time, and during the workup,
Yeah.
we spent a lot of time together. So the casualties, it's a lot harder.
Yeah.
When you take the casualties,
Yeah. It was.
you know them well.
Yeah. I mean, it was life changing. Like it was. I don't know. I don't have the right words to really express how I feel. I just know that like, and it's always the ones that shouldn't have gone. That's all I can think to say.
It's always.
It's never like Private Schmuckatelli who like does an ND in the hooch or like is just a horrible person. It's the best of us are the ones that leave us the soonest. And I mean, and that whole, when it started happening, it just kept happening the entire deployment. Like it was just like once the stuff happened in March, took some casualties then, and then April, it just continued and continued and continued. Then May hit, we lost the most amount of guys in May. You got shot in the head, very famously, and called in his own Casevac.
That's badass.
Yeah.
We were trying to finish the mission. So,
yeah. Like so after we lost the guy in our platoon, they did a reorganization, and it was like their first patrol they had done without me. And so I was listening to it, and then I hear stand by to copy 9 line, and like my heart sank. And I was like, no, this is my fault.
Dave Emerson still remembers my Zap number. Like,
well, I remember your Zap number. I have it. Yeah.
Off the top of his head.
Yeah.
Because I tried to downplay it. I was like, we have one casualty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ambulatory.
This is how he's talking
yeah,
too.
it's fine.
This is how he's talking in an ambush, right? Is that what you got?
It was, I don't, like,
A
I always like to
full-blown ambush?
differentiate.
Yeah.
Because an ambush has a prepared kill zone.
Yeah.
It's really an attack. Like if you there are claymores or directional fragmentation, if it's a prepared area, it's an ambush.
Yeah.
We give them too much credit.
We give them
It
too
was
much
an
credit.
attack.
Yeah,
It was an
absolutely.
attack.
Yeah.
They attacked us.
Yeah, we definitely do that.
Yeah, they're hiding really low and they can see us walking around because we're Americans.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Great. Good
They
for
got
you. Good for
we
you,
got a
bud.
uniform. They don't.
Yeah, good for you, buddy.
Yeah.
So
But there was a lot. There was quite a few. There was like a couple different elements out there. There was at least, I'd think like 5 to 6 of them in 2 separate groups.
So did the bullet go through the
Went through my
helmet and
Oakley
trace out?
goggles and just into my helmet.
Gotcha. Did it hit flesh at all?
No.
No. Okay. We had a guy
basically
who gets
punched
shot
in my helmet. Yeah.
We had a guy who got shot in the head, and it traced through the Kevlar and then came out, and it like sliced his face.
that's
It's
insane.
the coolest fucking scar ever.
That is, as far as scars go, that is pretty fucking legit.
Yeah, but it is. It's also cool to just be, I got shot in the face.
Yeah. Nice to nice to meet you.
Yeah.
No, it was like after that happened and you called in and then you went, I was just like, well, now it's just me here alone in 2nd platoon. Like I'm a squad leader, I have other squad leaders,
Mitch took
took over
2nd squad,
and my friend Wendell, and I was just like, now I just want to go home. And that was
the very solid group of people to be in charge, though. Very solid group.
Yeah, it was
Very, very good platoon. A very good platoon.
it was an incredible time, and I don't know, it was life changing, and I can't thank you enough for everything you did for me.
Hey, you're my brother for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I still can't believe he's here. So like, it's weird. It's weird. I'm trying not to get messed up about it, but it's all right.
We actually got to hang like his family's like out of town.
All of them
like
are
as
gone.
I'm driving across country, I went and he's like, nobody's here.
Yeah.
It was just, we went to dinner last night. And that's like the only time I've had alone with him since Marjah. Even in Marjah, we weren't by ourselves. There were still Marines there. Like we could just talk, hang out. We were awake. We didn't go to bed like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
We
he
were
did
just
the
like,
thing. You're hanging.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was like, because
Yeah.
it's like the only I get them all to myself for this period of time to hang out.
Yeah.
It's rare in life now that everybody's busy.
But also just so cool, man. And I think that's such a great like element to like being in the military. It's like if you're traveling across country, you just find out, or you do your best to see those people that you've kept in contact with, make some time, cut some time out to cut out and stuff like that, and see them catch up.
I think it's like we spent every waking moment together for years.
Years.
Yeah, like years. Yeah.
I mean, until recently, I'd spent more days with you than Christy.
Right.
Just be like numbers because it's condensed.
Right.
And I see her like once a week, and I was like, bummer. No, I'm just kidding. It's just like you're out, you're going to work every day, and then you go to the field, a week at a time or 30 days at a time. It just all accumulates, and these people become, a part of your life. And
socializing was a big thing, like parties at people's houses.
We always had parties at the house.
All kinds of people.
We did a famous luau. We did a luau. Christy had this idea to do a luau.
Christy did like a tattooed my. She like did this like tattoo thing. Yeah.
We're all blasted, Jello shots, and it's just it was the most fun time. And after break, clear the net, attention all posts, stand by to copy. Now that I've got your attention, I just want to take a moment to say thank you so much for watching this episode. If you want to help us continue to grow, it's really simple. There's a few things you can do. You can like, comment, subscribe wherever you are. If you're on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, drop a rating and review. Every bit helps to make sure that we can keep doing the After Action podcast and get these stories out there. If you're looking for other ways to support the channel, go to veteranwithasign.com. We got shirts, we got merch, we got stickers, we got more. We even got a bunch of ways for you to save in the affiliate section. Check it out. Now let's get back to the episode. But after Marjah, my Marine Corps career came to an end, and yours continued with the Marines of Sangin, and you continue that deployment as well, which was also another dynamic deployment.
3rd platoon for the Sangin Kajaki deployment.
Yeah. And then, that was another one that was just like 1-6 was taking it on the nose.
Yeah, it was another tough one. And it was just different, like how we were distributed. Like the companies were split up. Like one was in Marjah, we were in Sangin supporting 1-5. And then we like reconstituted the battalion. We did a helo assault to secure 611, which is like the MSR running north to south. It goes for a bunch of elements. To take control of that and basically build successive patrol bases along the route to try and secure it, because Kajaki Dam was up there and they wanted to have obviously freedom of movement.
Yeah.
So, it was complicated. Culture was a little bit rocky within the battalion. Alpha Company I think was fine. I got moved, my entire platoon was taken. Me and Tyler Fallen, who's my platoon commander. I'll never forget when the company commander brought us into the office and he said, "You guys are my best platoon." No offense to any of the other platoons out there. He was probably bullshitting because he was, and Tyler was like, "Thank you, sir." And I was like, "You were about to get fucked."
Yeah.
He's like,
"Yeah."
He's like, "I need to send you guys. We're going to start another line platoon or line company, and I want you guys to go." So me and Tyler took our platoon. And we got dropped in, and we didn't even call it Delta Company. We called it Weapons Company.
Missed opportunity
because back in the pre-70s, they used to have 4-letter companies in the battalions.
Yeah.
So we were a Weapons Company. It was just slapped together. Well, the other 2 platoons were like line platoons, but made up of weapons guys. But we never trained together. We never did one field op together. We did nothing together. And then we went in.
You went in.
It was light. Like we had 4 staff NCOs in the company. It was the first sergeant, company gunny, me, and this other dude named Josh. Really light. It was just not well planned for whatever reason that happened. Obviously, because I was talking to somebody about this, and they're like, "Well, because we did CAC, like EMB, Mojave Viper, CACs, whatever you want to call it, ITX before that." And they're like, "Well, we could have done, we should have been together for that to do 400, like company attack." And I was like, "Yeah, but an EMB is not designed to have, it's every minute's accounted for. It's not designed to have 4 line companies run the range." You know what I mean? So it probably wouldn't have, I don't know, like what their thought process was behind that. But I mean, we got it done.
You got it done.
Culturally, it was just not the same. The battalion was not the same. It was still good. 3rd platoon was excellent. The 2nd platoon was still out there with all of our guys running the show out there for the most part, taking the teams and running some of the squads. So they were well trained and well prepared for that.
Yes, they were. We gave them their all. I should say. Well, I left it all on the table. I tried to. I'm sure.
I think you definitely did. I think you definitely did.
I think I could have done things better, but
it's always like that. There's always things you can do better, but it's, as you gain more experience, you have a lot of time to think about things. You did the best you can with what you had at that point in time.
Yeah.
I was talking to a guy I was in 2-5 with, who's talking about like a lot of our boots, like didn't like him because, and I was talking to him and he's like, a lot of the guys who wear boots don't like me. I'm like, yeah, I know that. I'm not going to name any names. But he said to me, he's like, well, that's what I knew how to do. I was only like 20 years old. He's like, that's all I knew. That's the only tool I had in my toolbox, And it's like, yeah, that's very true.
That's all I got.
Yeah, that's all I got.
But you took all the tools from your toolbox and left the Marine Corps not long after that. And then continued doing some government work, right? Would you say that?
Yeah, went to college. Been in law enforcement for about 6 years total now.
Yeah.
Federal activity.
Yeah. And you're continuing to take the lessons learned and to help people with the new company you started, right?
That's right. I appreciate the plug.
Yeah.
Like before this, you're like, you want to plug your company? I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's so working in the federal government, like I'm very familiar with the federal hiring system.
Yes.
And how it works. And it's nothing like a good job. Like it's something like you're intimately familiar with and you have a resume, you probably wouldn't get referred because of the way the system's set up of like who's looking at what and what you get, how the process works. So I understand the process. And so I started like a little company called federalcareerconsulting.com.
It'll be in the bio.
Go to our website.
Yeah.
And, it's basically helping people do federal resumes and federal interview coaching. And a lot of people don't understand that federal resumes, because so a resume, and I'm looking at both of you, right? Have either of you ever gotten a job using a resume?
No.
It came from knowing somebody.
It came from knowing somebody. So in the federal system, though, you do get a job through the resume. It's the only place where the resume means anything.
Yeah.
Even though they have direct hire, but like every position should have its own resume. So it's like I make toolkits so you can assemble resumes based on your skill set. You that way you're not just in your Word doc like all editing it, just assemble it. So
people typically when they do a resume, they try to do a catch-all.
But there's a cap. There's like 5-page cap for most federal jobs. So this is just a more efficient way of doing it. So
and you're trying to hit on those
the high points,
the high points, the keywords
for
that
the position
match.
description.
Gotcha.
But also you need to explain it. So like HR needs to understand it, and then the hiring manager needs to understand it enough to want to interview this person.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
That's what I do. It's like my side business.
Yeah. Well, we're going to do whatever we can to help push it out there. I love it. And it's, something that we've talked about, how hard it is for guys to understand job translation, guys and gals. Like, it's just, you need to understand it's a game and you need to know how to play the game. But the fact that you're helping people really, translate that, I mean, it's
pretty
essential.
gratifying. I had a guy, he was a Marine captain, he was a logistics officer, and he's a deputy sheriff, and he wanted to do something federal.
Yeah.
And he wasn't getting referred, and he has like an MBA, and he's like, I don't know, I guess I'm just not qualified. I'm like, no, your resume sucks. He's like, well, I think it's okay. I'm like, I know you think that, but you don't understand. Like, and then he got like a GS-13, which is good level job.
It's good level.
Working in logistics, and I was just so happy. He moved his family out there, and he got off working night shift as a cop. But he was happy with that, and now he's thinking about doing something else. And so he hit me up and was like, I want to do.
It's tough. I think it's super. That's awesome that you're fulfilling that need, and I wish was around, or at least I knew about it when I was getting out, because it was like, well, how do I translate all this military experience into a resume that makes sense for a job that I'm going after? And I think at the time I was applying to like the Border Patrol, and I was just shitting out a resume as best as I could, and had really no
there's
direction.
Certain things where like Border Patrol,
that would be that was
basically
easy.
You could show up at the door and be like, hey, could I be an agent? And they're like, come on in. Like a lot of those entry level, like high demand positions. But if it's something like I want to be an IT guy,
it's like translating that information.
Working in like, where am I willing to work? And like a lot of that to help people navigate like they want to apply for like a remote HR job. Good luck with that. You know,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah, everybody has
58,000
it, yeah.
people just applied for that. You know?
Yeah.
Or like what they're willing to do and like kind of seeing that there's a way forward if they're willing maybe to move or to wait or to change. Because federal service there's more opportunity there than anywhere else as far as movement. And I mean, it's huge.
Yeah.
Demand for different occupation specialties. So like helping people understand that concept and kind of map it out. Like just because you're going here now doesn't mean that's where you're going to end up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, I think it's a perfect thing for you because you've always led Marines on the battlefield. Now you can tend to lead them beyond it. And as we're getting ready to, we're wrapping up here, I just want to know if you have any final thoughts, saved rounds, alibis, anything you want to leave.
Saved rounds and alibis.
I say it. People like it. I know you. I know you.
No, I'm just glad to get to come spend some time with you guys and get to hang out with you. It's like the highlight of my year right now.
It's mine. It's mine.
Yeah.
And tell me one more time the name of the company.
Federal Career Consulting.
.com.
.com.
If you looking at a federal career, Ryan makes it crystal clear. You can use that. That's all yours. That's yours. Hey,
add that.
Jump cut. He made $10 million off that? Oh, come on. Thank you so much, man. It's an honor for real. You're one of the people I cherish most in my life, and I can't thank you enough for what you've done for this country and for me.
Love you, mean it.
Love you, mean it.